From the Opubco Studios at Britain and Broadway, you're listening to a News OK podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a comics podcast at newsok.com. I'm Matt Price. I'm here with Kyle Roberts. And Kyle, it's a big news week for comics here. I mean,
that's right.
In any other week, we probably would be talking about Lock and Key, in which Joe Hill returns to the popular characters from his last horror miniseries from IDW. This one was pretty good. I gave it a read earlier. Or we could have talked about G.I. Joe #1, where IDW relaunches the G.I. Joe characters prior to the motion picture coming out this summer. This is by Chuck Dixon, Robert Atkins. Also, I think probably enjoyable for Joe fans. But we've got so many comics to talk about this week, we're not even really going to get into those. Let's start with what everybody's been talking about. President-elect Barack Obama guest stars in this week's Spider-Man, this week's Amazing Spider-Man. There's also a lead-in story by Mark Waid and Barry Kitson that talks about Spider-Man and his friend Betty Brant and kind of what's going on in her life. Also, Peter Parker trying to find a date, since as we now know, his marriage was mystically disappeared, making Spider-Man again a single dude. So, I guess, can you hold up the some of the Obama action there for people, which is by Zeb Wells and Todd Nauck. And on the inauguration, the chameleon crashes the inauguration. Spidey's gotta help out the president-elect. I thought it was really fun, and it's got all kinds of mainstream attention. There were lines in comic book stores in L.A. yesterday, people trying to get this comic book. So
yeah, that part's only 5 or 6 pages, but it's a solid 5
it's
or 6
fun.
pages.
It's fun, yeah. And
really all you need in a comic.
And I enjoyed the lead-in story as well. Kitson's always a fine artist. I like Mark Waid's writing. So if you can find it, definitely worth picking up. Worth noting, a second print is coming out next Wednesday, which I heard from Marvel is actually already pre-sold out. Your comic store will have how many they've got, but there's already pre-sold out. So there could be even more printings coming of Spider-Man Meets the President.
There's 2 things I like in this. In the beginning part of the story, I really like the whole dating scene.
Right. This Spider-Man speed dating.
Yeah, the whole speed dating scene, and then also the I don't want to give away too much for the Obama part because everyone's got to read it, but it gives them a little fist pump.
Yeah, nice.
So.
All right, so Spider-Man. Also, the conclusion of New Krypton, also a Faces of Evil tie-in. Don't want to spoil too much for those who have been following it, but I thought it both wrapped up all the threads from New Krypton nicely and set up a lot of new things that are going to be going on in the Superman books as a New Krypton miniseries is launching out of this. Also, Who is Superwoman begins next week in Supergirl, and there's some really drastic revelations in this one as far as that goes. So I thought both it wrapped up New Krypton and set you up to want to know what's going to happen next in the Superman books. So successful crossover, New Krypton, one of my favorite Superman crossovers in recent memory. Speaking of Superman-related people, Sterling Gates from Tulsa, OU graduate, writes Supergirl, which is coming out next week. Came out with Faces of Evil Prometheus this week, and this was much better than I had expected even. I thought, well, they're trying to set up Prometheus because he kind of has become a B-list character. What Gates does in this issue is re-explain a lot of that in a way that makes complete sense, reestablishes Prometheus as the A-list bad guy Grant Morrison set him up to be in Justice League, and sets up the character to appear in James Robinson's Justice League miniseries coming up. So, really solid work. I liked the art a whole lot as well. This was maybe my favorite comic of the week, despite some really strong stuff coming out. So, I've got to give, maybe unexpected, maybe this is something you weren't thinking you were going to pick up. It's very dark, it's very violent, so if you're reading Supergirl and you're younger especially, this may be too violent for you, but that said, another strong issue.
Not biased at all.
Not biased at all. Well, I like I said, I was thinking it would be okay. It actually exceeded my expectations, so... and then another news cycle. I mean, this might be all we were talking about, but Obama kind of stole some of the thunder from this. Should we give him a spoiler warning? What should we say here?
I don't know.
It's hard to... Final Crisis, as you know, the big crossover with DC Comics, Dark Side, lots happening here, and a lot of it happens in this issue as it's been building and building. But Batman confronts Dark Side. Should we just say things...
Yeah, we'll give it a little spoiler.
A little spoiler warning. Things don't look good for Batman. We thought at the end of Batman R.I.P. that Batman might have R.I.P'd. But it seems in this one that, in fact, this could be it for the Batman. It's hard to say exactly that that's going to be a permanent deal, but it does lead into Battle for the Cowl by Tony Daniel, where it looks like some non-Bruce Wayne characters are trying to become Batman. So, again, this is maybe my favorite issue of Final Crisis so far. It's a little weird that Batman's off in his own storyline and kind of shows up in Final Crisis for a few pages and all this happens. It's a little odd, but I'm hoping it all comes together at the end. And this probably was my favorite Final Crisis so far. Yeah, there's a little Battle for the Cowl preview for you, so that's what's going to be coming up in Batman. So, I mean, really, that was a lot. There was a lot of stuff. What did you like?
Obviously, Spider-Man. Yeah. Barack Obama. Good team.
Very good. I'll say Prometheus is my favorite, but I'd definitely pick up the Spider-Man as well. And, a big event in Final Crisis. If you're a DC fan, probably you're going to want that issue. So, huge week, lots of stuff happening. Get out to your comic book store and find the issues of these if you can, I'd say. So, for Kyle Roberts, I am Matt Price. Thanks for watching.
Let's see it.